Dear friends, the UPSC journey is a long and tiresome one. In this journey, if not it is done right, it can be a very big hurdle. Today, we have with us three toppers, Anusree, Niniya and Gopika, who we believe through our help has been able to shorten their journey or the hurdle has been an easier one. So friends, let's start with how this particular journey of yours started, because every aspirant, when they come, they will be having one or the other basic idea in entering into the civil services. So can you please give a brief talk or brief explanation to our aspirants how your preparation started?
Sir, during my school days, becoming a civil servant was one among many ambitions that I had, but it became stronger during my college days, that is during the Kerala Floods period. And at that point, I got an opportunity to witness the proactive role of different civil servants. So this gave me the insight that civil service is something which will give me satisfaction both at private and public level. So that is why I chose civil service as my career option, sir.
So even though I hear this particular reply as a very cliche reply, I don't intend to hurt you. Means actually all say that one way or the other they saw one IAS officer or someone else and they started their journey. Okay, so how this momentum was maintained by you?
Sir, as you mentioned, my journey was a very long journey. So there were situations where this momentum used to get broke. So what I did was that I tried to maintain an ecosystem wherein I will get support throughout. And that ecosystem included my parents, my teachers and my friends. So that is how I was able to maintain that momentum.
Okay, so for Gopika, how your preparation started? Means for Niniya, it was her childhood dream, her ambition. Was it for you also your childhood dream, or one sudden moment inspiration came about?
I don't think it was a childhood dream because I had never thought about joining the civil services. In college, I was studying electrical and electronics engineering. So at that time, I had thought about starting the preparation, or like a small interest had come up, but I read that there is like 9 papers that you have to write and a big interview that you have to pass. So at that time, I was not that interested and I'll just let go of it completely. But when I started working, when I graduated in 2021, I immediately joined a private company, and then I started working and I felt that I could do more with my life. And so after working for 8 months, I quit my job and I joined Enlite and I started my civil service journey.
Okay, so it was actually a kind of midlife crisis that transformed
Yes.
your journey into civil services. Okay, so for you also, you immediately qualified in the first attempt itself, both for mains and interview. So even though when in the first attempt you were not able to get into the service that you were expecting, what kept you motivated for the second attempt?
Sir, after the first attempt, our marks came and I realized that I didn't make it into the final list just by 8 marks. So I think I took that as an inspiration because I felt like, okay, I can make up that much marks. I was this short of the final list. So in the next attempt, I felt that if I study a little bit harder and a little bit more focused, I could make the final list. And fortunately, my journey was a bit shorter because in my second attempt, I was able to get into the list.
Okay, so when we see that both Gopika and Anusree, they means Gopika and Niniya, they have a kind of interest in the civil services. But when we try to talk with Anusree, because I know Anusree for quite a bit time, so when we in various one-on-one interview sessions, I've been able to understand how Anusree's preparation journey started. So Anusree, can you explain how this entry into civil service happened for you?
Sir, it was when I was in my college days. During that time, I felt like rather than specializing in a subject, I need to do something which is very flexible.
Okay, she is mentioning that specialization because her graduation is in physics. Okay, yeah.
So I was planning to do something in a general a generalistic manner. So that is how civil services has came to me, because here we study multiple number of topics, and we can even study some topics which are not actually we have an aptitude in. So then during my final year of graduation, I was looking for a better institute for doing my foundation course. So initially my plan was to shift to Delhi and do my foundation from there only. During that time, a few of our family friends has recommended me Enlite IAS. That is how I came to Enlite, and I think my decision was pretty good, because in my second mains itself, I'm in the list.
Okay. These three aspirants have another thing in common. These three also are having philosophy as their option. So even though we are right now discussing about GS preparation, so before starting with GS, I would just want to get one-liner opinion about how or why philosophy one should select.
Sir, I think for a person to choose any optional, there has to be three factors. That is the interest factor and availability of a good mentor. And we should also check that if it is scoring or not. And for me, philosophy was such a subject. That is why I chose philosophy.
Okay. Anyone other than that you want to add something more apart from what Niniya has mentioned?
Sir, for me it was practical, because it was easy to learn. There was no need of a current affairs value addition, because the syllabus is pretty much static. So it was about making my journey as easy as possible. So comparatively less effort is needed for optional than GS.
So that was the reason you were more into philosophy than other options. Okay. Now when we start discussing, means what our aspirants or the viewers would always love to hear is what difference did you did in your preparation that ensured that your name in the final PDF has arrived. So right now, yesterday the service allocation also happened. So I would like to congratulate you on that behalf also in getting into the service. So in your prelims journey, so we will be analyzing your prelims, mains and interview journey. So please enlighten about your journey. So let's start with Anusree. Anusree, how was your prelims journey?
Sir, in prelims, my hard phase was to go through the CSAT. So CSAT was so tough for me. That is not because of the arithmetic part or logical side, but it was because I never had any speed in doing those things in the pace that is required for this exam. So in my first two attempts, I was able to clear the 4S cutoff in general studies, but I wasn't able to clear the CSAT. So I made a focused strategy for that thing. So I went through the PYQs and identified the areas in which we need to focus upon. And I took classes for that also. And I referred to some books from where we can get some logical questions as well. That is how I made a strategy for CSAT, and that is how I was able to make it up to the next.
Okay, Anusree, arithmetic part or the con part is actually very important for clearing. But what about the comprehension part?
Comprehension was a safer side for me, but we used to get some 23 to 27 questions only. We have to anyway go through the other parts also for clearing this exam. So what I did was I was focusing mainly on my safer side. Along with that, I was taking some coaching for the other parts in which I am not confident enough.
Means you identified few areas which are repeated in nature, and means along with the comprehension, so that the cutoff is being achieved. Okay, Gopika, what about how your prelims journey, especially the GS part, means you are pretty confident in CSAT. So about your GS preparation, how it went?
So my strategy was to limit my resources. That is, for most aspirants, the problem they have is if they see one question in the PYQ, they will go searching for all the sources from where that possible sources from where that question could have come. So I wouldn't worry about that. My strategy was to limit the resources. For example, I referred Enlight's main textbooks. For example, in art and culture and modern history, we had very concise materials, but it covered all the parts. So I would keep that as my main reference book, and if I felt that there was some addition needed from other books, then I would add it on to my main parts. Then the other is taking a focused prelims test series. So for both my prelims, I had taken a prelims test series, and this prelims test series is organized in such a way that it's a weekly test. So weekly of one Sunday you would have polity, the next Sunday you would have geography, etc. So I would have a weekly strategy as well. For that week, I would study the entire polity portion, and I would study the PYQs, and then I would go for the test. And after taking the test, I would make sure that after like 2 or 3 weeks, I would come back and revise that test and revise my mistakes so that it is fresh in my mind. So what most aspirants might miss out is that revision part. They might take the test, but they may not revise. So if you take the test and if you don't revise, then you are not following up on your preparation. So taking a focused approach and creating revision notes, etc., actually helped me clear prelims both in both my attempts.
Okay, so reading, taking test,
And
revising. This was Gopika's strategy for prelims, which actually pretty well worked for both her attempts, and she limited her sources. So the sources were very limited. So multiple revision, you were able to do it more precisely. Okay, so about taking test. So in test, I hear few aspirants mentioning that they need to take 100 full-length test. So I hear on such matters. So does the number of tests matters, or taking few tests which are of quality nature matters?
I think taking a few tests of quality matters more than quantity, because if the quantity increases, you can't revisit all those tests. So what is the point in taking those many tests? In my opinion, one prelims test that you will follow to the T, that is you will revise upon, etc. When it comes to full length test, I would take maybe 5. There are 5 full length tests for Enlite's prelims test series. Then I would take probably a 5 more, and then I would concentrate on the UPSC previous year questions rather than taking multiple institutes test series. Concentrating on previous year questions would be more beneficial, because usually they come in a different form, or they actually the PYQs are a guiding light, because they will tell us which part of which syllabus is important. For example, in polity, repeated questions comes from fundamental rights. So we know fundamental rights is important, and we need to study more on that. So my strategy is, I have never taken 100 full length tests. I think I have taken like 10 full length tests for every prelims test, and plus 2 or 3 revisions of the UPSC previous year questions.
Okay. So Niniya, you had actually faced difficulties in clearing the prelims in your earlier attempts. So there are aspirants who find it difficult to complete the paper on time. So how you worked on it? I feel you also had this difficulty in the initial. So how, means when the paper gets lengthy, so how can aspirants work on it?
Sir, as you mentioned, my prelims was one of the most difficult stages for me, because I managed to clear prelims only in my 4th attempt. So now when I look back, what I understand is that for an aspirant to clear prelims, they have to hit the low-hanging fruits. That is the basic books. So once you master the basic books, you will be able to complete the questions easily. And along with the same, you should ensure that those questions, you should not make any wrong answers in those questions. And if you make any wrong answers, then you will have to make it up in some other area like current affairs. But we all know that the odds of getting current affairs questions right is very slim. So always focus on the low-hanging fruits.
Okay, so ensuring that your basics are strong is one among the most important thing in your prelims journey. Now let's move ahead with your mains journey. Okay, Anusree, how you worked on your mains?
Sir, in my very first attempt itself, I have made notes. So keeping the PYQs on one side and the keywords from the syllabus on the other side. I visited each and every keywords in the syllabus, and I visited the PYQs as well to know in which direction they are asking questions from those keywords. Then I made made notes for each and every subjects, almost all subjects. But the mistake that I have committed is that my notes were very extensive. So during my first mains, I couldn't even revisit my own notes properly to revise it. So what I did was, in my second attempt in mains, I have made my notes shorter than the previous ones with by adding current affairs also. Then I updated it with recent current affairs and relevant things. Also, I tried to add some diagrams and some maps, pie charts and all. And one thing which I have done that has helped me a lot in my preparation was that I used to revisit the test series which I usually take. So during that time, what I do is how to improve the visibility side of the questions. If I haven't draw a diagram for this thing, then I will be adding some diagram on the side of the paper. So then when it comes to mains, during our mains examination phase, so this is actually helping not only in general studies papers but also in philosophy, so in optionals as well. During that time, I used to revisit the test papers which I have written, and I used to look for the better ways to have visibility and more add more content and all. That also actually helped me a lot.
Okay. Gopika, Anusree was mentioning about current affairs inclusion. Okay, so how you were able to incorporate current affairs? Means adding contemporary examples actually makes much difference in the way the visibility of the points increases. So what you did on that front?
Sir, first of all, I used to read the newspapers and I used to write down some examples from the newspaper, which I would write down in my existing notes itself, so that I could revisit them. One point is, when we are writing the question, we could actually think about where the question came from. Why did the question setter actually set this question? That would actually give us the current context of why that question came. If, for example, if a question on India-US relations comes, we can write the recent Prime Minister Modi visiting US, or what Donald Trump President said in the recent news. So these are things that we hear all the time. So if we incorporate that, that becomes much better. And for some, in this case, that way by knowledge comes. Other than that, for economics, we should sit and study some data. For example, economic survey, you can economic survey, the budget. And in the case of society and social justice, studying National Family Health Survey. This doesn't mean that you take the survey and you study everything. It means that you have to know what you want. For example, if a question on women comes, then you need to know the gender sex ratio, or the maternal mortality ratio, or how much the percentage of women having anemia. So actually how we reach this knowledge that we need this particular data is from class itself, because for example, in our society and social justice class, our ma'am actually helped us a lot, because I still use those notes for my all 2 attempts. So actually those notes have all the data in it, and if any new data comes, then we can update it. So actually classes would help us with all these factual content.
But the initial part, actually she was mentioning about she consistently read newspapers, and Niniya, you also actually were consistently following. So if a new aspirant has to start newspaper reading, what should they focus initially?
Sir, initially, sir, I was a kind of person who started reading newspaper only after my preparation, starting my preparation. So it was very difficult for me, because it took around 6 hours for me to read newspaper initially. But then there were certain guidance classes, and we should make sure that when we read newspaper, we should keep the syllabus in our mind. So by keeping syllabus in our mind, we have to filter the required news, and that has to be noted. And I am a follower of online notes. So I made online notes, and which made my updations very easy.
And also, when we look into the previous year questions, we can see that they are not asking the current affairs as such. They are largely focusing upon the static part from the current affairs. So what I used to do was, when for example, when we read something about the governor's controversy with the state, so I used to go through the articles of governor, and I used to make it sure that I'm confident with the static part of that thing. So that also we have to focus upon while reading the newspapers.
Okay. So when the newspaper is being read, corresponding static part from the standard
Has to
book,
be in our mind.
tip of the fingers, then only you will be able to incorporate good answers. One another thing that the aspirants faces is they forget it very soon. So whatever you learn, if you don't revise it continuously, you forget it. For prelims, actually, earlier Gopika was mentioning that she had a 3-week strategy. So whatever she learned, she used to revise it after 3 weeks so that it becomes fresh in her mind and she is able to correct those mistakes and incorporate it. But for mains, the issue is you have nearly 4 GS plus 2 option papers and plus 1 essay to prepare. So the content is huge and the time is very short. It is only 2 months gap for between 2 or 2.5 months gap between prelims and mains. So how can we introduce a better revision strategy? What's your opinion?
I believe that my UPSC journey was a rectification of the mistakes that I committed in the past. So in my first mains, the major mistake that I committed was with respect to the note making. Because since I was a student of EnMAP, I had notes ready for almost all the subjects. But the issue with my notes was that it was very extensive to the extent that for one topic I had around 10 pages. So for 100 topics, it was like 1000 pages. So revising such a bulky content is very difficult. So because of which I was not able to revise in my first mains, and that backfired. So in my second mains, I made sure that those notes were made crisp. I compressed my whole notes into like 40 pages, because of which I was able to revise properly.
Okay, so what I wanted to actually hear was her note making process and she came with that. So what aspirants in future need to remember is this is an era of open source. There is no limit with respect to notes or any other material. You will get everything in the online source. We have got ChatGPT, we have got Perplexity, everything is there. But crisp notes means that which the aspirant has written in their own words. That will only be helpful for the aspirants, because remembering or retaining always comes from your own words. So make notes, be very consistent in that, revise it continuously. It will definitely help you in reaching your goal. So this was all about your mains journey. So coming to the final hurdle that the UPSC calls the personality test, or we say it to be the interview journey. So Niniya, let's start with you. How was your interview journey?
Sir, I believe that interview is one of the most interesting stages, because you get an opportunity to look into yourself. Because we have to fill a form called detailed application form, wherein you have to fill everything ranging from your background to hobbies. So on that account, it was very interesting. But in my case, my initial series of one-to-ones with Mahesh sir, Abu sir and Joseph sir was very pathetic, because the feedback that I received was that I was being very artificial. I sounded very artificial and I was trying to be someone else. And I was not at all driving the conversation, which is the demand of interview. So after talking to you personally, I came to the realization that for a person to score well in interview, they have to be themselves. They have to be authentic. So then I started framing my answers on that account, and I think that got reflected on the final day as well.
Yeah, it definitely got reflected. If you see your score, it definitely got reflected. Okay, Anusree, I'm not going with Gopika, but I'm going with Anusree because she also had certain difficulty. So I want to hear that difficulty so that future aspirants can work on that.
Sir, I'm a kind of a person who always looks for some comfort spaces. So it is very difficult for me to start a conversation with people who are very unfamiliar to me. So during my initial one-to-one session, even with Abu sir, was very bad, because I was being someone else. I was trying to be someone else. So after which, but what I did was, I never never wanted to break that thing or to find or invent a new me. But what I did was, I just stick on to my comfort level. Then I talked to Abu sir frequently. I had one session with Abu sir as well as some sessions with Mahesh sir. Then during that time, what we used to do was not to go through the current affairs or doing some extensive things for interview, but we were actually casually talking about some subjects or something, and that was very helpful for me. And I believe that for introverts or silent people like me, that will be good, not going for some panel interviews or something, and stick on to your comfort zone.
Okay, Gopika, you had 2 interview experience. In these 2 interview experience, did you feel UPSC was one and the same, or they were different?
I think UPSC is looking for the same things in both the interviews, because for me, even if they ask factual questions or something that we don't know, we should have the confidence to say that we don't know that topic. So what they are looking for is, if I can call it, intellectual integrity. That is, we need to be true to ourselves. And if you don't know something, you don't have to second guess yourself or make up something or bluff it, because they'll call it on spot. They are experts sitting there. So if we are just honest with them that I am not familiar with this topic, or sir, I have to read up on this, then they would be more than happy to tell you what they were asking so that you can answer. For example, for my first interview, my first question was, he asked about the Electricity Act, and I couldn't remember. So I said, sorry sir, I'm not able to recollect what the Electricity Act says. So he was like, don't worry, I will tell you what the Electricity Act is. And he framed the question in such a manner that it is no longer factual and I am able to give an opinion. So UPSC actually wants to have a conversation with you rather than fire you or make you afraid on your feet. So they might check how you manage stress, but they make you as comfortable as possible. So it's all about being comfortable with yourself so that you can bring the best out of you.
Okay, it's all about being true to oneself. Okay, so it is actually a stressful scenario.
It is.
Because even though there is always a first, when you first attend the interview, you will definitely get stressed. So how you were able to calm yourself, means 2 interviews consistently you are able to get very good score. So how you were able to calm yourself?
I don't know, because for me, I would constantly talk to myself and give motivation from internal motivation. That plays a big part. I think before for the first interview, I was not that nervous because it was a opportunity. I was seeing it as an opportunity and an experience. So I went with that mindset. In the second interview, I was very much tensed because I wanted to make it into the list. Now it's like a do or die situation. So before I think the day before the interview, I was feeling very stressed. And then I called Mahesh sir to talk. And so he motivated me a lot. And I think we talked for around like half an hour, and for like 10 minutes we talked about the interview, and for 20 minutes we talked about all the other stuff like watching movies or something. So the focus is, you shouldn't focus on that one point, or like, oh my god, this is my interview and I have to perform well. If you focus on that too much, then you will lose flow. So just take it in. But for another factor that helped me is, I used to listen to music. Even right before entering to UPSC, I would listen to hype up music, so that it would help me calm down. Another factor is seeing all the other aspirants are also equally stressed makes me a little bit more calm because I have never seen a group of people that are this stressed. So I was like, okay, I'm not as stressed as them. So actually that made me a bit calm also.
Okay, so one last question before we wind up. I feel this has been one quite exhaustive one. So how Enlite helped you in your preparation journey? You were mentioning that you were all prelims cum mains batch students at Enlite. So how your journey was simplified at Enlite?
Sir, Enlite is like a family for me. Given my long journey, I had several downfalls during my preparation. So my go-to place was Enlite, teachers of Enlite, and they helped me, they pushed me, because of which I was able to secure a good rank in this year's attempt. So I would like to extend my heartfelt gratitude to Team Enlite, sir.
Okay, so any further add-ons from Anusree or Gopika?
So I think Enlight played a major role in making my journey very short. I was able to achieve the goal of making into the list in the very second attempt itself, and more than teachers, the teachers have all become friends. So I think Enlight has a very friendly and accessible environment. It is not a very formal culture, so that the students feel more comfortable sharing their difficulties and sharing their doubts, etc. So in that case, Enlight has been very helpful, and I owe a big gratitude towards Enlight.
Okay, so that was very heartening to listen to your opinion about Team Enlite. So on behalf of Team Enlite, I would like to extend a very heartfelt thanks and also wish you all, Anusree, Niniya and Gopika, a very successful bureaucratic career. Thank you all.
Thank you, sir.